I'm hitting it.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Monday night, and you know what that means. It's the live show. We're the Baxter Street Boys. I'm your host, Cole Wilcox, joined as always by my co-host, Jake Gordon, and our producer, Griffin Rudy. You're going to see me live. I don't know if they're watching or not, but you're going to see me live for the end of this basketball game. Georgia's kind of trying to sell, so might get some animated reactions. But a great week for the Dogs, as always. A big win over Mississippi State. Some people were coming into the season were saying that was going to be our toughest game. I'll leave that up to you to decide whether it was, because you could argue that it was. But we pulled out the W on the road, and we are moving in the right direction. We got a lot coming to you tonight. Obviously, we're gonna getting some stuff on the back end that it's a little non-traditional. But hey, what can you say when the Dogs just blow out everybody every week? You know, there's only so much you can talk about. But we're gonna get into the game. Gonna get into all that stuff. Let's roll the tape, Griff.
10, 12, he's running over people. Oh, you hurt the walking. We just stepped on their face with a hobnailed boot and broke their nose. We just crushed their face.
Defense, 40, 30, they won't catch him. Go, Swift, into the end zone. Touchdown! The freshman just ran it back to Philadelphia. Throws near sideline, and it's intercepted. Intercepted. Keely Ringo at the 21. Off he goes. 40, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30. Near sideline. Breaks the tackle. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown! 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 Georgia!
I know I'm asking a lot, you guys, but hunker it down one more time.
Dude, I kind of got rattled in that intro because randomly static just blew up my headphones. Did y'all hear that or no?
No.
It must have just been me. I mean, it was like straight ear rape. I was like, oh my God, I can't even focus right now. So I kind of got lost. But boys, how we doing?
Doing well. I mean,
doing all right.
I'm ready to be done with school. I'm so sick of it.
Yeah, I just got back from doing the NPRE, so I'm a little tired.
You're toast. Yeah, I don't envy that, boys. I really don't. I have some classes right now, but they are not much to talk about. Dogs are up 4 with 34 seconds left. Oh, we turned this game into a nut cutter. We were up at 17 at one point. Not what you like to see. Not what you like to see, but a win is a win, so hopefully we can pull it out.
Yeah.
Terry Roberts is good. Like, really, really good.
Yeah, we have some good players on this basketball team. They just got to put it all together.
Yeah, well, I mean, the offense is going to come together. I'm not worried about that. I've liked the way we played defense up to this point. We kind of blew it here, but I like the pieces that are in place, and I like what I'm seeing. So hopefully we can survive sloppy games like this with a W. But anyway, appreciate you guys coming out, listening. As always, we love you guys. And while y'all are here, please like the video and subscribe to the podcast. Tell your friends about the podcast. Tell your grandma about the podcast.
My grandma loves the podcast.
Yeah. Hey, shout out Mrs. Rudy. She's the best. She's terrified of Tennessee, but we conquered those demons. We conquered those demons for her. Shout out Mrs. Rudy. But while you're here, also, you need to know about Turtle Box. You guys know it. We know it. They're the best speaker in the game. I promise you that. If you don't believe me, get it for a Christmas present and let them give you feedback on whether you should get one or not. I promise you will not be disappointed. But use code BSB10 when you go on their website. Get you one. Shout them out. Shout us out. The whole deal. Oh, God, we're struggling on the inbound. Foul. All right, knock them down. All right. Dogs beat Mississippi State pretty bad. There was some sloppiness to it. There were some times that made me frustrated. I was also at a wedding. So I was watching it. I was being very non-social. There's probably some people that think differently about me now after that wedding, but so I was already frustrated, and then there's some stuff happening. I may have tweeted some things that were a little frustrating, but we were all tweeting on the account that night. I'd tweet something out that Jake had just tweeted or Griffin had just tweeted. So you might have got doubled up, but that's because I was at a wedding. Communication was low, and I was kind of irritated already, not even about the game. So that's what happened. Boys, what's the overall thoughts on the game?
I thought it was good. I went back and rewatched it because I was drinking pretty heavily during the game, and that was clouding my judgment a little bit. I don't think Mississippi State really played as bad as the scoreboard would tell you. I think there was a clear talent deficiency, but I overall think that their game plan, their scheme, their execution, I really don't think they played that bad. Georgia had some bad turnovers. It's something to work on. It's something that we've been talking about all year. But they didn't have to pay for any of them. Some things on special teams we could work on. I told y'all special teams matter.
Yeah, they sure do.
But other than that, I don't think it was a horrible game. There were some questionable calls, but there were some questionable calls on both sides, so I'm not really going to get too far into that. But big bounce back game for 84. That's something that I was preaching to everybody. You can't bench 84 because he has a couple bad games, because he's going to come out and do this eventually.
Yeah, he's a game changer when he's like that. Like we've seen it before, and he did. He changed the game when we needed big plays. He hit big plays, and that's something we talked about though. Going back a little further, at the beginning of the season and during midseason, we told y'all that Mississippi State gets this label as the air raid, and they are an air raid offense. And you think Mike Leach, think points, no defense, blah blah. Mississippi State is very talented up front. They're very talented. And they have some really good players on that defense. I heard some NFL scouts talking about that preseason. Ole Miss and Mississippi State both having pretty good defenses, which is rare. So we saw it. I mean, we couldn't really run the ball very well. I thought it was a tough day for the guards. Hopefully they bounce back for us, because we're going to need them. But
definitely.
But they got hit around a little bit. They got punched in the mouth, and luckily we have 2 All-Pro tackles, or at least should be some form of All-American. Warren McClendon and Broderick Jones are as good as any tackle combo in the country. There's no doubt in my mind. SVP is really, really freaking good. So we got enough pieces to make up for it, but people are going to have bad games, and you got to have teammates step up, and I feel like the rest of the offensive line did.
Yeah, I would have definitely liked to see a little bit more consistency out of the running game. It was good to see Kendall Milton out there looking healthy, getting some good runs. Yeah, but I don't think I think it's more of a testament to how good Mississippi State's run defense is. They can stop the run. That's not an issue for them. And I think they played a much better game than the scoreboard would indicate. They gave up a few big plays, but hey, I don't think it was anything too egregious, except for the turnovers. But we're just going to have to keep harping on that.
Yep, no doubt. No doubt. Speaking of Kendall Milton, that's a good place. I mean, dude, that burst he had on that last run is as good as I've seen in a while. Like that looked like healthy Kendall. I haven't, there's been some complaints about him hitting the hole and stuff, but I'm telling you that get off and that acceleration that he had on that last run was as healthy as I've seen him in a long time.
Yeah, I was pretty pleased. I got to give that game. I'll give it a B+. I don't think it was an A game. I give it a B+. You went on the road. You won in the SEC. That's always hard to do.
Yep, no doubt. It's not easy to do at all. Griff, you got any numbers for us?
I don't have any written down. I can pull up the box score.
Yeah, pull up the box score for
us. I had this Georgia game on my phone.
Yeah, it's getting a little testy.
We talk about the turnovers and stuff. That Stetson interception, that was unlucky. The first one was when his arm got hit.
The second one too was. I mean that was kind of a crazy play.
I was pissed when they happened. I really was, but it was like you go back and look at it. What can you do, really? Like, really, what can you do?
I like the point Jeremy made here too. He says the turnovers don't really seem to affect their mindset, and they just get back and go back and get the momentum back. And that's all well and good. He's completely correct about that. That's all well and good until you can't, until somebody really starts hurting you. And then that's when it gets you. That's when the turnovers get you into trouble. Georgia's been good enough to overcome it for the most part. But if you turn the ball over 3 times against LSU or Ohio State, Michigan, maybe even somebody like Clemson, somebody like that in the playoffs, it's going to be rough.
You think about it though, and people are on Twitter, and we said it too. We said turnovers can kill us. Like, this is this one flaw of this team. But then you go back to we're playing a team that right now is a favorite to be in the playoff, and we literally gave them the ball on the first drive and still blew them out.
Yeah.
Like, and Brick sent out something today. It was a lot of quotes from some anonymous sources around the league, and one of the ones that I thought was pretty telling was saying that we lost a lot last year, yes, but the offense is playing at such a high rate right now that there is more room for error. Yeah. And you think about last year, we turned the ball over like that, the defense would bail us out. But if we turned it over early and maybe got down, it was like, okay, like we got to find a way to score some points here. Even though the offense was good last year, they're not playing at the level they're playing at now. So, yes, the offense might turn it over, and the defense is so good they might give up 3 points, but we're just going to score 7 next time we get it. Like that, and that kind of goes to what Jeremy's talking about. It's like, okay, whatever. Yes, we made a mistake, but we're too good of a team to let that affect us. We'll go score a touchdown this next drive.
That's really the difference with this team this year, and we've talked about it so far. Last year, the defense controlled the games. Always the defense controlling the games. And this year, it's kind of the offense. Georgia's dictated how they want to play, which they usually could last year just because the defense was so good. They could do whatever they wanted on offense. They could kneel the ball 3 times and maybe still get a win. But that was the main thing, is that the offense now feels like it's more the focal point of controlling the ball, controlling the clock, which Kirby's always tried to do, but he doesn't have that defense to lean on, but the offense has been better, so it's making up for it.
Yeah.
You can still lean on the defense. It's still an elite defense.
I was about to say, that defense is pretty freaking good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
They played a very good game.
Yeah, they did. And we knew what they were going to do. They're going to dink and dunk. They're going to try to get down the field. And it is, when you're spread out sideline to sideline like that, it is tough. But I thought we did a pretty good job against it. I mean, you take off 7 of those points from a punt return, you give up 12 points on the road in the SEC. It's a pretty good offense. Like that's, I mean, that's about as good as you could. If you can't score more than 12, you probably shouldn't be winning anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Griff, you pull up the box score.
Yeah, I got it up. And one thing that this was what frustrated me the most in this game, probably because I think we kind of thought that our rushing attack was going to do better in this game. But, and we kind of talked about it a little bit, but when you take away the Ladd run and the Kendall run, those 2 breakaway runs, which, I mean, you can't do that, obviously. We were averaging well under 2 or 3 yards a carry, like 2.5.
Yeah, that's not great.
Bad, but
Stet's at the point in his development where he can drop back and throw it 2 out of 3 times on a possession, and we can. I mean,
he threw the ball 30. He threw the ball 37 times in this game, so a lot. He threw it a lot,
especially in a game where you blow out. That's usually very low numbers. But Stet. I mean, listen, he threw us a lot of careless passes, I thought, but for the most part, he was pretty good. Connor Graham. Hold on before you go. Connor Graham says, "How can we market the phrase Kirby Smart Death March needs some merch?" Yes, we do need some merch. You're right, but I'm gonna retweet my tweet on Baxter Street Boys to just let everyone know I was the one that coined this term, because people are going to doubt, but it's in writing on Twitter like probably a year and a half ago. I'm going to find it. I'm going to retweet it just to make sure no one else steals it. If someone does steal it, do not buy their merch. We're going to have some.
No, yeah, we actually have to. We need to coin that.
I want a sweatshirt with like a cartoon Kirby Smart with like in a Darth Vader suit with just his head. Vader suit. And then
that would be nasty.
Death March on the back. That'd be sick.
Yeah, one thing I really liked about this game too is, like I said, there were some careless passes in the pass game, and it kind of makes me wonder sometimes if Monk was telling State, like, "Hey, go out there and rip it. We got a little bit of control in this game. Go out there and see what you got." You know, maybe I don't think they'd ever really encourage him to be loose with the football, but he definitely looked like he was just letting it rip. And we had some big chunk plays in the pass game. Brock, Darnell, Kieras, Ladd, even Marcus Roseby-Jackson. All these guys were getting these big chunk plays. And I think that's kind of what they wanted to focus on this week. And I think that's something they're going to focus on against Kentucky and focus on against Georgia Tech going into the playoffs, is they need that intermediate passing game, those big chunk passes to take some pressure off of the defense and the offense.
Yep.
There's with the 3 faces. Yeah, we can do that one too.
Sure. Offense, defense, defense. That'd be funny.
I did not coin that phrase, but I do love it. So I'm going to keep saying it.
It is good. The pass catchers, man, I think we're in a good spot right now. And that was kind of the one concern coming into the season at times, was like, okay.
MRJ is coming into his own.
Yeah, he looks good. He looks really, really good. And like every time we throw the ball to Kieras Jackson, something good happens. Like I feel like he's the most underutilized guy on this team.
It's weird because like it feels like we have used him a lot more in the past than this year. And he's a veteran. Like, you know, it feels like
2020, he was our best receiver for the most of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know, but, you know, well, I mean, maybe we just haven't opened the playbook up enough for him to like really get the looks that he was getting a couple years ago or something. I don't know, but he's definitely a weapon.
Yeah. Yeah. He is.
And go ahead.
The thing about him is like he's really good in space. That's what he's coined at, but he goes and high points the ball pretty well. He's physical. And so you're like, okay, yes, he's good in space, but Ladd and Brock are probably better at like, you know, the bubble screens and stuff, which is fine. Okay, utilize them. But I do think Kieras does have a role on this team, and we saw it. We needed a big play. He went up one-on-one. He won the one-on-one, caught another pass. Like he's capable of doing it. Absolutely. And yeah, like you said, Marcus Rosemy-Jackson ain't getting better. And AD hopefully is coming back.
That was my next point. Yeah.
The worst ankle sprain of all time, clearly.
Yeah, I understand too, because sprained ankles are tricky. They're weird. They can be, you know, they're kind of like hamstrings. They can be bad. Yeah, sorry. You know, it kind of just depends. There are different severities. It's like hamstrings; they're just kind of tricky. But I think the big focus should be on getting healthy. We got a couple guys out. Obviously, AD is the big one. We got a couple guys on defense out too. I know Javon Bullard was a little banged up. Darius Smith was a little banged up. It's just about getting guys back at this point. Kentucky just lost to Vanderbilt at home. I don't think we really need to rush anybody back for that. We definitely don't need to rush anybody back for the nerds Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah.
And December, you think about December 3rd, man, it's a little over 2.5 weeks away. There should be plenty of time to prep, plenty of time to get guys healthy. And I think it was John Tweed Sports. He had a really good point today. He said, I'm sure that Kirby Smart loves that Georgia's playing a new game against Georgia Tech while LSU is going to Texas A&M to play a night game. And hopefully that's one of those things where, maybe they'll have another little 7 overtime classic.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt. We want them to play the longest game possible. Although A&M is A&M's beyond repair, man. I mean, this is bad.
We do have to mention. I mean, just Jalen Carter. I mean, come on. He was ridiculous versus Tennessee, and in this game, he wrecked everything.
He's getting better too, which is crazy because I thought coming off an injury, I'm like, all right, maybe he'll be taking it a little slow. No, he's getting so much better, and that's something that other teams should be very worried about. If your interior of your offensive line is not one of the best in the country, Jalen Carter is going to have a field day. He's going to feast on those kids.
Even if it is, it doesn't matter. He's the best player in college football, and
pound for pound,
what he does on the field is so impressive. Like the Florida game was one of the most impressive games I think I've seen in a long time because it was him on a snap count. He'd come in on 3rd down, but he would literally dominate the rep every single time he came in the game. It was just like, oh, well, Jalen Carter's in because he's in the backfield. And if he wasn't in the backfield, he wasn't in the game. Like, he was so good. And then we needed him so bad for that Tennessee game, and he showed up with an absolute authority play after authority play. And, yeah, he might be the most unstoppable defender in college football right now, other than maybe Harold Perkins. That dude is ridiculously good.
We'll be talking about him plenty leading up to the SEC championship.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't know what we do against him. But Jalen Carter, yeah, we can absolutely talk about him because he is unstoppable. He's a freak.
And I will say, just in total as a defense on Saturday, I was never worried when the defense on the field. And I haven't been in like the past 2 years with Kirby just because of how good we've been. But on Saturday, like when they were just throwing those dinking ducks, I just was never worried at any point because our DBs are so good. And that's just an offense that's just not going to beat our defense.
Yeah, I mean, Will Rogers, he averaged 5 yards of completion and 1 touchdown. You're not beating Georgia doing that.
They threw 52 passes.
Yeah, exactly.
52 passes, 29 completions, and for 261 yards. If you throw the ball 52 times and you're getting 261 yards, 5 yards per pass, that's just, I don't know.
And and they took a couple swings sometime in the run game too. They had, Jaquavius Sparks, he almost ran for 6 yards a carry. He's not a bad back. Neither is Dylan Johnson, but he did not have a good game. But they only ran the ball 15 times, got about 3 yards a carry out of everybody. I think one of those was a Will Rogers sack, counted -7. But still, I mean, they got their time. I think Georgia knew what they had to do. And I think Mississippi State's best chance, if they were going to be in that game, was to run the ball a lot more effectively than they did, and they just really didn't try.
Yeah, hard to run against us. It really is hard to run against a Kirby Smart team. Like that's
they picked their shots, and they had a couple where they picked their shots, and it never ended up being anything that impactful.
We've talked a lot about Small Mondon this year and how it feels like he's still got that other level to get to, but that game he was playing at a high level. Yeah. He was really good on Saturday.
That's another good point. Kamari Laster had a great game as well.
He's awesome.
He has a good game every game. I mean,
love Kamari Laster.
He's glued to everybody.
I think that was the main thing.
He's so physical.
That was the important thing too. We talked about it with Tennessee. It was kind of the same thing. Everything stayed in front of everybody, and you never gave up the big shot. You never really got gashed deep, and I think that was the most important part of the game. And that's how I knew it was going to be in control. They had, I think it was Wally maybe had the long catch, but it wasn't for a touchdown. They just kept it all in front of them. And, you let your offense do your thing, control the ball, you'll be just fine.
Yep. Yeah, the physicality on the outside is so impressive. It's the best I've seen at Georgia in my lifetime. They just love to hit, and that's so rare for a corner. Like that's why they're out there. They like to defend. They're athletic. They like to use their athleticism. being physical is something that you usually have to work them into. And Kamari Lassiter and Javon Bullard, those guys, they eat it up. It's like they feast on being physical. So that's always nice to have.
Yeah, it'll be nice too. I really want to see Xavier Truss. I think Curtis Creed is still hurt, or Marius Mims. Need to get those guys back up front because LSU, like we talked about, not even just Harold Perkins. LSU's still got a ton of talent, and that's not going to change. Yeah,
BJ Ojolari is good too.
Not to mention Mason Smith, the 5-star defensive tackle that we recruited for a while from Louisiana. He tore his ACL the very first game. Like they have a good front.
That Florida State game might have gone different if he played because he was tearing Florida State up.
He was, yeah.
He's good. He's nasty. Yeah. Yep. LSU is going to present some challenges, but
we'll get to that when we get to it. We still got Kentucky.
Just give us that trophy.
We thought about doing this. I don't think we're going to do it anymore, but for the chat, we talked about the Georgia Tech week just completely acting like we didn't have a game. And but we still want to talk about it a little bit. And of course, this was back when Collins was still running the show. And Georgia Tech, they've been feisty under Brent Key, so we'll have a little bit to talk about.
Yeah, they've been so dang feisty that they scored a touchdown with freaking seconds to go to kill the under. Screw you guys.
That was just how that day was going to go for me. We couldn't win a total to save our lives on.
Totals suck.
I couldn't win a bet to save my life on Saturday. I'll say it. But I hit a parlay yesterday, and I feel like I'm back.
I had a bad week. That's because I was chasing, but I'm working way out of it with college basketball. Unfortunately, I did fade the Dogs tonight. They do not look like a team this year that's going to be very good against the spread, but hopefully they just keep winning.
Yeah. Winning's all that matters.
Dude, what are the averages on this, though? Like we talked about, they threw for 52 times, and they threw for 261 yards.
5 yards per pass is what it says on the box score.
5?
Yeah.
Oh, I see it now. Yeah. 5 yards per pass. God.
It's like 5.01 blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah, that open field tackle by Kamari on 4th down. That was one of the weirdest tackles I've ever seen. That was just like a collision. I mean, it worked, but it was a strange tackle, but he got him.
Yeah, that was nice. I really just didn't want him to score there just from the optics of the game. Like it looked like it was a lot closer than that game was. And Mississippi State fans could be like Tennessee fans and be like, oh, 14-point loss. Freaking losers. They're freaking – I hate Tennessee so much.
We haven't mentioned the Darnell Tutty yet. We finally got a Darnell Tutty.
Yeah, I got to switch up my game.
We're 1 for 10.
We'll have to clip that up. Nobody tell anybody about the other like 10 times that we said he's going to score and he did.
I did that month straight, I think. I did that month straight.
I mean,
yeah, he got in the end zone.
He could have had two.
Funny. You know what's funny about this is Stet is pretty accurate passer. I think everyone agree with that. He throws about 68% completion percentage. The only guy on our team that he overthrows is the 6'7" monster who's wide open in the red zone. I guess he thinks he has so much space to work with. He overthrows Darnell Washington. Kearis Jackson will put on the money. Lad McConkey on the money. Darnell Washington in the seats.
Sails him.
No, it's true. It's true.
What he overthrows.
I did want to shout this out. This was the overthrow. I do love seeing Darnell on a zig route because who is covering that? Who's covering Darnell Washington on a zig route?
No one's covering Darnell Washington on any route.
I love that play in general. Just any play where you play action to the tight end, like on the 1 yard line, it never doesn't work. I've never seen that play not work. You could have scored with Brock Bowers on that play too. He was open too.
Well, they had 19 on that first touchdown. He was wide open. And then they ran that play, and then Darnell was underneath, and I feel like they all crashed on Darnell, and there wasn't a soul around. I mean, they all crashed down on Brock, and there was not a soul around Darnell.
When Brock caught his first pass, I was like, who the heck is this guy? I've never seen him wear anything on his legs in his entire life. I was like, what is that? But it was awesome. And we tweeted out, I think, Brock Bowers, high sought Bowers.
Oh, yeah.
And about 2 plays later, he caught a touchdown. So there was a lot of guys that were wearing some stuff that they don't usually wear. I guess it was cold in Mississippi. But
yeah,
that was
those cowbells.
It looked cold. I know they looked cold at Bama Ole Miss, too. Lane Kiffin was bundled up, so I guess it was.
Dude,
Connor Graham makes a good point here. Love when we were playing those filthy Gators and they split Darnell out wide with only a corner on him. We've done that a few times. There's going to be a big play in one of these last few games that we play. It's not going to be Kentucky or Georgia Tech. Those are absolute doormats. But one of the last 3 games, there's going to be a big play where he splits out wide. I don't know what we're going to do out of it. It could just be we need 8 yards and we just throw it to him and let him run for 8 yards. But we're going to go to him. We're going to split him out wide and go to him in a big spot. I'm telling you, it's a mismatch and a half. You put him in the boundary with just one corner on him,
Something
He's
else I've
going to
noticed
stiff arm the hell out of that guy.
It's like, we talked about it before. It's like the classic AJ Green. Give him a screen pass and let him stiff arm a guy for 8 yards. Most OP play in football.
Yeah.
There was something else I noticed too. It's not necessarily as much in terms of targets unless it's late in the game, but Oscar Delp gets a lot of goal line snaps, and I like that. Put as many tight ends out there as you got. He's talented, and I feel like one of these games, he'll be in with the starters. It'll be like early in the game, and they're gonna use. That's probably in Monken's bag. He's gotten nowhere near. They're gonna use Darnell as a decoy. They're gonna use Brock as a decoy, and Delp's gonna be wide open.
I'd love to just like sit down with Todd Monken and be like, what are some plays we ain't seen before? And him just take me through some plays so I can see them. Because he's got some cooked up, I mean, he pulled out a Kenny McIntosh touchdown, a passing touchdown in the freaking Orange Bowl.
No, that was I did not expect that at all.
It was a dart.
And he was wide open.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, that dude definitely has some stuff cooked up that's gonna blow our minds, and we're gonna see it when the big game comes out. Like the lad double move. We haven't seen a double move one-on-one in all year almost. Usually if we get a deep shot, it's just somebody in the slot just running right by the safety. There was a double move to the corner, wide open. Like that stuff is going to come out in the big games. I love it. That's why I look forward to big games with this team, because Monken is going to go deep down in that bag. And he's nasty. He's nasty.
So you got to empty the clip at the end of the year.
All right. Anything else about Mississippi State?
I don't think they played that bad. I think they're a respectable team. I think a lot of it was talent. I don't think they had a terrible game plan. They stopped the run. They gave us some good stuff to go over this week too for the coaches, especially probably guard play, special teams. So yeah, I good win.
I mean, their 4 losses on the year are at LSU, at Alabama, at Kentucky, and then against us. They're not
at Kentucky is the tough loss there. Now looking at it now,
but
but they were better than I guess.
Kentucky lost to Vanderbilt. It's one of those classic games, look ahead games of playing us. It is. They lose to Vanderbilt. Are they better than Vanderbilt? Yes. If they played them 10 more times, they'd beat them 10 more times. But
can I use some Florida? Can I use some Tennessee fan logic real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So Kentucky was 24th last week when they lost to Vanderbilt. So when we beat them, that's a top 25 win, right?
South Carolina was also ranked for 1 week. That's a ranked
No, they were. Yeah, when they lost to Missouri, they were 25th. That's another ranked win. Tennessee was ranked number 1, so we beat the number 1 team in the country.
Florida
was ranked. Sanford's ranked in FCS rankings. That's another ranked win.
They did use FCS rankings to describe an offense one time.
That's an FCS.
What I saw something today from the Tennessee fan. Dude, the stuff that they are putting together is unbelievable. I saw something today. It was like people think ESPN is against us. Well, they're putting Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler on the Tennessee game this weekend to brag about us for 3.5 hours. Don't tell me they're not trying to get us in. I'm like, dude, that right there is like you're connecting dots that's like across a scatter plot. Like those aren't. You were trying so hard to relate these two things together that you were going way out of your way to do this. They just got that game. That's just probably the best game of the night. Like the slate this week is not great. I don't know if you haven't seen it or not. It's not great. You got the battle for LA, which is sick. You have TCU Baylor, which is a big game for the playoff implications. You do have a couple big games, but that's one of those are going to be a noon game. You know, Kirk and Chris Fowler never call West Coast games. Like that's just the game they got. It's just the game they got. It has nothing to do with you being in the playoff.
Let's talk a little playoffs, by the way. Since that's a good transition into what we're going to do next. Let's talk a little playoffs. So TCU really surprised me. I did not think TCU was going to win that game. Texas didn't look great, but TCU, hey, I had them plus 1,400 beginning of the year to win the Big 12. So
that's awesome.
I want my flowers on that one. If they do win it, they still got a little ways to go.
I didn't have the balls to take TCU +7 on Saturday, but I wanted to. I did want to.
I thought it was a square bet. Everyone told me how Texas was going to kill them.
It got to the point where it was like us, as the public outsmarting our own brains and being like,
that's
Texas
what I thought was going to happen
on
LSU too.
Yeah, and LSU did not cover. If you got them at 2.5, they did, but yeah.
I got
so we got Ohio State and Michigan. That's going to sort itself out. TCU, if they continue to win, they will be in. And then USC's kind of sneaking up on the pack because the only team.
They're in. They control their own destiny 100%. They end with UCLA, who is a top 25 team. They end with Notre Dame, who's going to be ranked top 15, and then they'll beat another top 10 team in the finals.
I just don't know if they're going to beat all those teams.
Oh, no, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
I don't know. It's
But
It's weird.
I will say this: they're going to beat UCLA. I'm pretty confident in that.
What's the
And you were right too, Cole, in the sense that there's Clemson just hanging right back there.
That
and honestly, people are acting like they have no chance. They're going to play a top 10 North Carolina team.
What about
North Carolina's not bad.
What about
North Carolina? Just doesn't have the wins. That's the problem with North Carolina. If they beat Clemson, that will be a pretty good one. But they beat Wake, who's kind of struggling now. Like Clemson beat NC State when they had Devin Leary. That was a good win.
Yeah,
that was a good win. They beat Wake early. Like they've had some better wins, and they lost on the road at Notre Dame. I'm pretty sure North Carolina lost at home at Notre Dame. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that.
It's going to be interesting too because USC, like I said, if USC wins out, they're in. And then you got Ohio State and Michigan. And we talked about Tennessee a little bit. But if Ohio State and Michigan, let's say Michigan loses by 3 points at home to Ohio State. Tennessee and Michigan pretty much have the same case. Tennessee maybe have some better wins.
Yeah.
They're had a closer margin of victory.
They're
in the same boat, though.
I think Tennessee might could get over Michigan. If it's a close game at Ohio State, I don't know that they do. I really don't. I don't think.
I think it depends on Georgia LSU.
They're acting like they do. They're acting like they do, but I don't know if they do. If Ohio State comes out here close game to Michigan, they're getting over Tennessee 100%. 1,000%.
And say Georgia comes in and turns because that Notre Dame win for Ohio State looks better and better each week.
Yep.
Let's say Georgia comes in and turns LSU inside out. Well, that's Tennessee's best win.
Right.
Say Georgia beats Tennessee 48-0. It's going to sort itself out though. Let's be honest. The Pac-12 and Big 12 are not finishing undefeated. It's going to sort itself out. And maybe USC
saying that, dude, but TCU just keeps winning. Like I've said, they're going to lose for the last 6 weeks.
Good, because I think we would handle them pretty easily.
Oh, God, it would be a disaster. But
there's little old Clemson just hanging back there, man. And
I'm telling y'all, dude, like
little old Clemson just hanging back.
And Lane in here, he says Tennessee will get over Clemson. Right now, I do agree. If the season ended today, they would.
If Clemson has a conference championship win, they will not get in over Clemson.
On conference championship weekend, if Clemson comes out and blows the doors off North Carolina, they already showed that they think highly of Clemson by putting them 4th. Now they're sitting at 9. They're sitting 4 spots behind Tennessee. They're going to play a conference championship game. Tennessee has no chance to make a statement. Their last 2 games are South Carolina and Vanderbilt.
And then you're sitting at home. Sitting at home on championship Saturday is so big.
Exactly.
Unless you're Alabama, you can't. It's hard to get in.
They don't have that.
Who had already won 2 playoffs by this point? Like there's some scrub team like Tennessee.
That's what I've been trying to tell Tennessee fans, man. It's going to hurt them more than
us. I promise you, the committee looks at that loss and is like, okay, that was very one-sided. If Michigan Ohio State is a very, very, very close game,
which I think it will be.
Who do you think the committee would rather see? An Ohio State Michigan rematch or a Georgia Tennessee? Like, come on, guys.
Ohio State Michigan. 100%.
Let's be real. Like, they love that. I'm telling y'all, if that's a close game, Tennessee can go ahead and kiss their hopes goodbye. But if TCU and USC were to lose, I don't know. I don't know what happens then.
I think they got it. I think they have a chance.
Gets in then.
And let's make it clear. I'm very much so not worried about Tennessee at all.
Jeremy says, but they put up 66. Yeah, they scored 66 points on Missouri. Top 15 defense.
They're sorry. I don't even want to talk about that game. It pissed me off. They're sorry, dude. Calling timeouts with 1.5 minutes left. And Josh Heupel's like, "Oh, I didn't really know what to do there. Like, I just want our guys to keep playing football." That's fine. I don't have a problem with the deep shots.
Just say you needed the style points, man. Honestly,
and that's not even like. I want to address that too. That's not style points. The style points are doing it during the game. Style points. The committee does not look like, oh, they scored 20 points in the last 3 minutes. That's sick. We need to bump them up a notch. No, they're like, all right, these guys are they're trying to do style points. Style points are what we did to Oregon when we hung 30 on them in the first half. That's style points. Style points is come in the last 30 seconds of the game.
Style points is going up 21-3 after the first quarter versus Tennessee versus the number 1 team in the country. That's style points.
Yeah.
I would say. Do we want to do predictions? Let's wait another week. We'll do predictions next week.
Yeah, I will be a huge TCU and USC fan though, because I think it would be cool to have them in the playoff. I really would. And I would love to beat Lincoln Riley. Like I want to play USC in Atlanta. That's who I want to play. We would kill USC. Just FYI. Yeah. Yep. We'd be a 16.5 point favorite against them, and we would blow their doors off. All right. I'm gonna start you off with some questions. We're gonna do some absolute bull crap at the end of this. So we would love for y'all to be involved to give us some feedback because it will be a good time. And then we're gonna need your answers on this too. I cooked up 4 ridiculous questions right here involving college football head coaches. All right, who wins in a fight? Simple. There's like shooting going on right outside my window or something. My house is shaking. All right, who would win in a fight? Jim Harbaugh or Mel Tucker?
Mel Tucker.
I don't know, man. Mel Tucker.
That was too quick of an answer, Griff. Have you
I
seen
think
Jim
Mel
Harbaugh?
Tucker. Yeah, I think Mel Tucker beats the crap out of him.
Beats
I don't
the
know, man.
crap out of him.
Yeah,
Jim Harbaugh, he's like a scrappy guy, and he's told
Jim
John
Harbaugh
Harbaugh's
is
told
6'3",
story.
220. Let's see what Mel Tucker is.
I'd probably go with Coach Tucker too, but I think Harbaugh is one of the underrated scrappy guys. Like if you see that guy in a bar,
I don't even think it's underrated. Like I think it's pretty well known that you really don't want to mess with this dude. And
I just don't like
they're
him.
the same height and weight. They're the same height.
They're the same height and weight though.
Yeah.
I don't know. Coach Tucker looks a little bit like, he looks like he's got that like thickness to him. Like he's just a big dude.
I think.
So is Jim Harbaugh. Didn't he play defense or he played quarterback, but he's a big dude.
I feel like Tucker is like kind of a real tough guy.
Jim Harbaugh wears cleats to practice.
He also wears cleats on in-home visits.
Yeah, he's a crazy guy. That's what I'm saying. You're forgetting the element of craziness that Jim Harbaugh.
All time.
I think it's just more of a weirdo thing than crazy.
I don't know, dude.
All time Jim Harbaugh story when he told Wilton Spate not to eat chicken.
Yeah, who was it? Isaiah Wilson said that on his recruiting visit that he came into his house wearing cleats, and that's why he didn't go to Michigan. And then Nick Saban would give him a hug, and so that's why he didn't go to Alabama, and he picked Georgia.
Hey, the guy's got his priorities. All right. I think it's a toss-up there. Like, if I had to put money on it, probably I'm taking Mel Tucker, but I wouldn't want to fight Jim Harbaugh.
I'd say it's
what are the odds on that fight?
I think
I would say
minus like
I think it'd be pretty even. I really do.
I think so too. Maybe Harbaugh. Maybe Harbaugh.
One of those things where the public hammers Mel Tucker, and then Harbaugh's the play. All right, better Survivor contestant: Lane Kiffin or Deion Sanders?
It's absolutely Deion.
I mean, they're both awful
know.
Survivor contestants.
I have some great Lane Kiffin stories that
I think Lane Kiffin would dominate at Survivor.
Lane Kiffin would be good at the part of manipulating people.
Yes, no, that's what I was going to say. Because there's more to Survivor than just like actually like doing this stuff.
Boys. They're both pretty boys, and they're going to struggle out there. They're going to struggle on the island. But Lane Kiffin's art, like I think Deion would just piss people off, just like tell him what he thought. They're voting him off. They're voting him off.
I've watched too many seasons of Survivor.
Griffin, Deion would win all the competitions, and
he would win the challenges. But that doesn't help you because at the end of the day, if you lose one challenge as like the high competitor, the best one that wins all the challenges, they will kick you out as soon as they get a chance. It doesn't matter if you have alliances or anything because they know you'll win at the end.
Harry with an absolute kick to the nuts says Kiffin. Deion has a lame foot.
I forgot about that, man. He literally
it was bad news. But yeah, I'm taking Lane there because one of the reasons is yes, there are some athletic events that require you to be athletic, and Deion will win all those. But I'll tell you how to make a real athletic person look unathletic. Tell them to swim fast.
Yes.
I've seen some of the best athletes in the world. On our baseball team, we used to do swim practice, or not swim practice. We do like a competition, like a swim race. Some of the fastest guys on our team, Brandon Jernigan, he almost drowned. Like, you put an athlete in some water and make them swim fast, you'll see how athletic they really are. Maybe Deion is a burner in the water. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he is. He's fast at everything he does.
He can do whatever, yeah.
I bet Lane can't swim, though. So Lane might lose that argument.
I'll say this, too, though. I think, like, with Survivor, when I watch, like, the athletes are good at most things, but sometimes the dudes that look like Lane and, like, have his stat, I bet Lane wouldn't be that bad at the challenges. Like,
Lane's still an athlete, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But there's some that are just dumb, too. Like, you have to sit in one position for 13 hours or something.
Do you know who Boston Rob is, Cole? No. Well, he is one of the greatest Survivor players of all time, and Lane Kiffin gives off Boston Rob vibe. Like, dude, go watch any season that Boston Rob is in. He is so good at that game. It's ridiculous.
I feel like Lane Kiffin would just absolutely dominate the mental side of Survivor, and he would be good because that's 90% of it.
he would. And Dion would piss people off. He'd make people mad.
No doubt.
He'd be telling people what to do, and they wouldn't
off.
like it. Yeah.
All right. Better survivor contest. Or I already did that. You have to be handcuffed to someone for 24 hours. Nick Saban or Dan Mullen?
I would say Nick Saban, just because Nick Saban actually has like knowledge, and I feel like you would learn some stuff about.
Yeah, but he'd also get super pissed that you were there and probably just be an absolute douchebag to you.
I'd probably go Dan Mullen. I just shit talking the whole time.
That's a good point.
You just wrestling with a handcuff. Dan Mullen.
Hey Dan, remember that time that you said that, or that everyone said that you were going to be a better coach than Kirby Smart, and then that aged terribly?
I go with Saban, man. You could at least. I would just be like, look, Nick, we're stuck like this. Why don't we just talk a little strategy? Why don't you teach me something about some football?
I think I would take him too, but like I just know he would get so irritated and so mad at you that he would not be enjoyable to be around at all. Like Dan Mullen, you can at least laugh at, So there's some comedic relief there. All right. Who is most likely to sell you a car out of your price range? Eli Drinkowitz or Dabo Swinney?
Dabo. Dabo
is the fakest dude I've ever
seen. Dabo is Joel Osteen as a college football coach.
Yes. Dabo is brutal.
Lane said Mullen, if his wife is there to kiss me like she does the players. Yeah, that could be take that into consideration.
I don't know if I want that. I think that would make me pick Saban.
Oh man. But yeah, no, I definitely think it's Dabo. Dabo just gives me those vibes, man. I don't like Dabo Swinney one bit.
Oh, I can't say it.
There's plenty of stories about him, and he's a fraud, man. He's just a fake person. He just gives me that like greasy televangelist vibe, and I just can't trust a word he says. I don't like the guy.
You'd come in with a $40,000 budget and buy a $75,000 Raptor if Dabo Swinney was a salesman. 100%. But no, I agree. Dude. Like Drinkowitz is right there. Like he taught Luther Burden to come into Missouri somehow, some way. He also, he's got a contract extension. He has a good team there right now. They should not have the record that they have. Like
Eli will sell you a lemon, and Dabo will actually sell you a car that runs. That's the difference.
That's true. Dabo.
All right, I like that. Yeah,
you're right. That's true. Yeah, Eli Drinkwitz knows how to sell a bad product to high paying customers. Clearly, because he's done it for a while. All right, Griff, post the graphic. Here's what we're gonna do.
I haven't even seen this yet. So
here's what we're gonna do, folks. We're gonna have a conference competition right here. Who is the best conference up and down? All right. For a while, it was SEC and the Big Ten, and then I say, "Oh, SEC has 2 teams. You go deep down." And I've always wondered about that. Like, I'm not sure Rutgers is beating anyone in the SEC. So we're just gonna line them up and we're gonna play it. That's how we do it. We can just start from the left, or we can go across the right. We'll compare the SEC to all these other ones. And y'all can help us out.
Well, the top 7 in the SEC looks pretty good.
Well, we know Georgia versus Oregon. We've seen that. 2 would be an awesome.
I feel like I might need to defend Oregon at number 1 in the Pac-12 a little bit. I still think they're the best team in the Pac-12. Do y'all disagree with that or no?
No,
I just think they're all one and the same.
Yeah, agreed.
They've all beaten each other this year. They had the circle. They completed the circle of suck this year. Everybody's beating everybody.
What's crazy is, and y'all might disagree, but if we were lining up the SEC 1 through 14, and I had to put money on the SEC, I got to pick the matchups. Bama's number 2. Bama is 100% number 2.
If we're talking about a big game
in a non-conference game,
at a neutral site, they're favored against Tennessee and LSU tomorrow.
I don't know.
I can't disagree with that.
I think LSU they lost on a last-second field goal at Neyland. They are 100% favored on neutral side against Tennessee tomorrow.
I would probably agree with Cole. I think if I had to pick a second best conference, man, I think I'd have to go with the Big 12.
That's what I'm saying.
Big 12's pretty competitive.
Let's do the matchups to make sure the Pac-12 isn't there. USC versus Tennessee, that would be a good matchup. We'll call that one.
I think the Pac-12 would be second. I don't know, but because the top of the Big Ten and the ACC is better. But if we're saying top to bottom,
this is one the Pac-12 could take right here. Utah versus LSU. Utah could possibly clip them the way they're playing right now. Florida did beat Utah early in the year in the swamp. Neutral field. I don't know. Alabama runs UCLA out of the building.
I would say I think Tennessee beats USC though. Honestly,
I would think so too. But I mean, there's Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams, Jordan Addison against that Tennessee defense would be feasting.
USC would do well offensively against them, I think. But I think the physicality aspect of it, I think Tennessee is, while they're not very physical, I think they are more physical than what USC
We'll
is.
see. I mean, we're going to see with USC soon.
If we're going off top 5, if we're going off top 5, I would say SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC very close, but Pac-12 small advantage, and then the Big 10 honestly.
Big 10's awful. They're awful. We'll get to that. Let's finish this Pac-12 head to head. Florida versus Oregon State. I'm taking Florida every day of the week. Mississippi State's already beat Arizona, and then you have Arkansas, Washington State, Kentucky, Cal. Yeah, I got the Pac-12 winning maybe one of those. I think Washington Ole Miss would low key be a pretty good game.
Yeah,
Vanderbilt.
I think at most they still like 2 in that. When you line it up like that, they cannot compete with
the bottom half. Is not close.
If those are the matchups,
3 through 6, other than Bama, UCLA, or 3 through 6 would probably be pretty good games. I would watch those games pretty intently. I think LSU, Utah would be a great matchup. I think Ole Miss, Washington would be an awesome matchup, and I think Florida, Oregon State would be an awesome matchup.
Yeah.
All right, let's move into the Big 12 against the Big 12. We have them ranked: TCU, Kansas State, Texas, Baylor, Okie State, Texas Tech, Kansas, Oklahoma, West Virginia, Iowa State. Number 1, we can start from 10 and go up to 6. 10 to 8 is an automatic L. Auburn kills Iowa State. Kentucky kills West Virginia. Arkansas kills Oklahoma. Those teams are terrible. Let's start from the bottom. Mississippi State, Kansas would be the sickest game ever.
It would be very goofy. I think Mississippi State would win, though.
Yeah, they're just better up front. They're better up front, but that would be an awesome game.
Florida, Texas Tech is interesting. That could be a bowl game. I feel like that
Texas Tech, Florida sounds like a bowl game this year.
Actually, not bad. They're playing pretty good, and I would love to see Texas Tech blow the doors off Florida.
I close my eyes, and that's the Texas Bowl this year or something. I could see it.
They could. It depends on what Texas Tech you get. They're like the most coin flip team in the country.
They are. They're
Okie State, Ole Miss. Okie State is on an absolute landslide. Ole Miss kills them.
Alabama kills Baylor. LSU kills Texas. Tennessee probably kills Kansas
Alabama
State.
Murders Baylor, and if that's the matchup.
Kansas State is pretty good.
Yeah, they're solid.
Good. They're pretty.
I think they give Tennessee trouble. That would be a good game. I'd like to see that.
I'm nervous about the TCU going undefeated because they have to play Kansas State in the championship game. I'm very
well. I mean, if we're matching it up, like if this is matched up at the beginning of the year, then I don't know.
Texas LSU is the only one that I'm like, okay, maybe just because you don't know what kind of team Texas is going to show up with. If they show up with their best version, that's going to be a really, really good game. If not, LSU runs them right out of the freaking gym.
Yep.
All right, into the ACC. Wow.
Tennessee UNC would be an interesting game.
That would be fun. That would be fun.
It would be fun. I think Tennessee would win.
Drake May would tear them up, Griff.
No, he would. I'm saying.
I'm tweeting this out right now. I have it queued up. I haven't tweeted it out yet. I don't think. Maybe I did. Did I already tweet about Drake May?
I don't know.
I think it's in the draft. It's in the drafts. Listen to these stats this guy has and tell me.
He's unreal.
People in the comments tell me how this guy is not Heisman frontrunner. A good reason why he's not without using the North Carolina is his jersey. He has 3,412 passing yards, 34 passing touchdowns, 3 interceptions at a 70.1% completion percentage.
Sounds like Devin Leary last year, except in North Carolina's competitive.
And he's rushed for 584 yards and 5 touchdowns.
That's almost 4,000. That's ridiculous. Honestly, he should be the front
4,000 total yards through 10 games and 40 touchdowns.
If this is a North Carolina team that won how many games last year? 6.
And they lost a quarterback who everyone thought was going to go in the first round, and they replaced him with this freshman who's putting up video game numbers. And their team is 9-1, so you can't even use like he's not winning. He's straight up winning, putting up dumb stats.
You look at these games, man. A lot of these could be bowl games, like Ole Miss, NC State, like Florida, Louisville, these could all be bowl games.
Yeah. Is there any other matchups y'all see that are even? I think
Auburn and Duke.
Florida, Louisville would be a good game because Louisville they can pose some problems. NC State's just bad. Florida State, Bama could be a good game. I think Bama wears.
I think Alabama might.
Florida State's playing really, really good right now. Really good. They're peaking at the right time.
This is a game I could see happening.
Pitt, Arkansas could be.
Pitt, Arkansas.
Pitt, Arkansas would be fun.
I think Pitt might have like a form.
Duke, Auburn. Duke might beat Auburn.
Yeah.
Auburn stinks. We might have Duke a little low right here, but they stink. Miami.
Yeah, they'd probably be at a Boston College, but whatever.
Georgia Tech.
But you can also, if you
talk about a game that would make me throw up if it happened, South Carolina, Georgia Tech would be disgusting.
I think I like a matchup with Missouri and Duke better than an Auburn Duke matchup. Is that
definitely feels like that could be like the Mayo Bowl?
I think Missouri
this year.
beats Duke. I think
that could be the Mayo
Duke
Bowl this year.
Auburn.
I don't know if Missouri's going to be bowl eligible, but yeah, that could be the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Duke and Missouri.
Duke's Mayo Bowl.
I don't know. You got to have like 7 or 8
Jeremy
wins.
Clement says Syracuse, Arkansas would be a good game. Syracuse at the beginning of the year looked really good, and they're playing like absolute dog crap now. So I don't know.
Their quarterback is also hurt, isn't he? Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not for sure on that.
Yeah,
that would make more sense because they have been awful the last.
Garrett Schrader, I don't think has played the last couple of games.
These are 2 bowl game matchups that I could see. If we go to the Big Ten, Tennessee and Michigan and LSU Penn State, those could absolutely be.
I would love to see Tennessee Michigan. I would really love to see Tennessee Michigan. That's that. I thought about that today. I think that would be an awesome game.
Yeah. I think it would too.
I don't know what to expect. Like Tennessee's elite against the run, but Michigan's the best rushing offense in the country. So it's like
how Ohio State looks against Michigan if Michigan does end up being in second. That'll tell us a lot.
I think that Michigan game could look somewhat like the Ohio State Michigan game looked last year.
They just bulldozed them.
Yeah. I think that would be the way that Michigan wins that game. But I don't know how Tennessee would fare
really well with Michigan. Like we saw that last year. Like I think Michigan matched up against pretty much everybody in the country pretty well because they're so physical up front. But then they saw a team that was more physical than them, and you just can't match.
There's some nasty matchups when you go to. This is why we had the Big Ten so low, man. I mean, Florida, Illinois, the Ron Zook Bowl.
Florida.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's awful. And then Purdue, Ole Miss. Ole Miss would run Purdue out of the building. Alabama, Maryland.
Oh God.
Mississippi State would dominate Michigan State too.
LSU, Penn State might be a pretty good game.
I think LSU would still beat them pretty bad.
I do. I think they'd beat them. Penn State to go to Auburn and wear them out.
That's the thing. Big Ten's just got the top 2.
Auburn's bad though.
Auburn's would kill Iowa. Kentucky would murder.
Auburn, Wisconsin would be a filthy football game.
Oh God.
I would love to.
What about South Carolina, Rutgers? Missouri, Nebraska would actually be a sick game because that's like an old rivalry, like an old Big 12 rivalry. But
Vanderbilt, Northwestern. Wait,
Vanderbilt, Northwestern is the game that everyone needs.
Vanderbilt played
they played that North,
and they beat them when they were ranked. Or that was Kansas State. They beat Kansas State when they were ranked.
Yeah,
that's what it is. That's what it was. All right, so SEC is the best. Who's the second best?
I'm gonna say Big 12 top to bottom.
Let's do Big 12 versus Pac-12. I think this would be sick.
I think the Big 12 gets a little bit of a pass. The Big 12 gets a little bit of a pass because they only have 10 teams. So like the bottom
three is awful. All right. Pac-12 versus Big 10. Or Pac-12 versus Big 12 would be sick. Let's match this up. Oregon, TCU, who we got?
Look at Kansas. Look at Kansas, Arizona, 7-7. I think that's why I have to give like Big 12 advantage. Oklahoma against Washington State. Oklahoma against Washington State. I think Oklahoma would crush them. I think West Virginia would.
I don't know that Oklahoma would crush them. Oklahoma's bad.
Yeah, but are they that bad?
Yeah.
Washington State hasn't been very
good. What? Washington State has not been bad.
Recently they haven't been very good.
They had Oregon beat. They had them beat.
That was like week 4.
It's still their team.
Yeah, but they're like 5-4 now. I'm not bought in on them anymore.
Oklahoma is not going to be bowl eligible. They're terrible.
Let me go.
I think I'd probably go. I think I'd still probably just because I mean their top 10 is better than the Pac-12's top 10. Maybe not at the top. Like the top 4, I think the Pac-12 is better, but I think top to bottom Big 12 is better.
Let's talk about these top ones. I think Oregon TCU.
Oregon TCU would be awesome.
That would be a fun game.
Didn't they play?
I think Oregon
wins. That was the game that TCU came back down like 40 a couple years ago. I can't remember what bowl that was.
USC Kansas State would be awesome. Texas Utah would be awesome. UCLA Baylor would be awesome. Like those are 4 toss-up games to me. Like I'm flipping a coin.
Yeah, I think USC beats Kansas State.
Y'all are. Yeah, have you watched Kansas State? They were killing TCU until Adrian Martinez got hurt. Killing them.
I think USC's pretty good.
At what? Scoring? Kansas State would match their scoring. I promise you. They can score on anybody. I'm telling you,
who's Washington? I think Washington would mop Okie State right now.
Right now for sure. Yeah. Right now for sure. Oregon State, Texas Tech. That'd be a pretty good game. I think I like. I don't know. I think I might take the Pac-12. I think I'm taking the Big 12 there. I really do.
Utah, Texas, I think would be. I think UCLA beats Baylor. I think Utah, Texas would be a big decider in this one.
Here's where it gets dicey. If you match up the Big 12 and the Big 10, the problem is the Big 10 probably wipes the first three. That's where they wipe the first three, and then you have 7 more games. If the Big 10 can just take 2 of those, they tie.
I feel like Texas could beat Michigan or Penn State. Texas could beat Penn State.
I disagree. Penn State's pretty good. Baylor, Maryland, toss up. Purdue, Okie State, toss up. So, I mean, Big 10 might still be the second best conference.
They might be. Maryland's unfortunate as that is.
Like, does Illinois beat Texas Tech? Maybe.
Michigan
State probably beats Kansas.
Purdue has been pretty bad this year, though. I will say.
They've been up and down. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad.
Purdue is only going to beat a team if they have.
This is absolutely pointless discussion.
I appreciate the 80 people that's still hanging around live. That's
yeah, for real. To just watch us look at this stupid graphic.
Yeah, but you got to think we're all. Christy's here, so I don't want to say we're all guys. Thank you, Christy, and yes, go Dogs. But listen, we're guys. This is what we do. We sit around. We watch football. We got some Dr. Peppers or other choice beverages in our hands, and we talk about dumb stuff like this for hours. I can sit here and talk. Like if me, Jake, and Griffin were just on this call before we were recording, this is what we're doing. Talking about bullcrap like this.
When we're driving up to Indianapolis on Thursday, this is all we're gonna be doing.
There's no doubt. This is the most absolute pointless conversation of all time, but I've enjoyed all 20 minutes of it that we've had, I think. Like
important conversations are, they're needed, but they're not fun.
All right, Griff, and Jake, let's pick the 5 best matchups out of this graphic based off their rankings. So you have to match up like a 6 with a 6.
Okay.
I'm going to go Georgia, Ohio State.
That'd be sick,
Tennessee, TCU.
I like Tennessee, Michigan better, I think.
I like Tennessee.
Oh, I meant to say Tennessee, Michigan. Sorry, that's 2-2.
I agree with Georgia, Ohio State, Tennessee, Michigan. I really like Oregon, TCU.
Yeah. Ole Miss, Washington. I feel like that would be cool. I like Ole Miss.
Yeah, Washington. I like Ole Miss, Washington. There's one I liked a lot.
Mississippi State, Kansas.
Yes, that's an awesome game.
I kind of like LSU, Texas. That game was electric. 2019.
Vanderbilt, Northwestern. Let's be honest, it would be hilarious.
Yeah,
Texas, Florida State. That's a good pick.
Yeah, low key, one of those stinkers.
Colorado, Georgia Tech.
Colorado, Georgia Tech would be a fun one.
I think Nebraska, Missouri would be hilarious.
It would be.
Nebraska, Missouri would be fun.
That would be fun.
Texas, FSU.
South Carolina, Rutgers would be so funny.
That's a good one too.
A&M versus Indiana. Something's got to give. Both teams won 10 games in 2020 or whatever, however many of the games they played, and they haven't won since.
I'm about to find.
Connor Graham says Texas FSU. Yeah, I agree. That'd be an awesome game, actually.
What about?
That's a classic.
I'm trying to find a matchup with Iowa.
Awesome
what Iowa matchup?
All the eights are bad. The eights are the most. The eights might be the most boring group across the board.
Yeah, I know.
Washington State.
But which
Oklahoma? Hey, we should do a full poll, like a graphic with all these seedings.
It's just going to devolve into people bitching about where certain teams are ranked.
I know. Yeah. Their fan base is going to vote for them.
Which matchup with Iowa at 8 would be like the most like sicko committee worthy?
Arkansas.
Absolutely.
Oklahoma, actually. Oklahoma's a dumpster. That's a dumpster.
I think Arkansas, Iowa would be hilarious.
Yeah. Two bad teams. I think Baylor FSU would be a pretty cool game. Oh, Texas FSU can't match up. They're 3-4. I think Penn State Texas would be a great game. I also think LSU Utah would be a great game.
LSU Utah, I like LSU Utah.
I like LSU Utah a lot.
Let me see if I can find a matchup.
We've already seen Arizona, Mississippi State, and it was pretty fun, actually.
I hate all of the matchups with Alabama.
Yeah, they win. They win them all for sure. FSU would be the closest. UCLA would be fun. UCLA might could score on them. They couldn't hold in at all, though. No doubt about it.
I'd also be fine with seeing like a Georgia Clemson. You know,
Texas Tech, Oregon State would be fun. Connor's right.
I think we would smack Clemson, but also it would be fun to watch that game again.
Well, it's always fun to beat Dabo. I mean, he sucks. Like, he actually sucks. I just saw this caption, Tony. Game says Vandy by 50 against Northwestern. Yeah, 100%. Northwestern.
Yeah.
They actually probably would smoke them.
How many teams was Vanderbilt beat in the Power 5? Let's count them up right now. Just start in the Pac-12. They beat Colorado. They beat Stanford. They beat Cal. They probably beat Arizona State.
I don't know if they beat Cal.
They 100% beat Cal.
I don't know.
I think they killed Cal. And I think they beat Arizona State. In the
Really?
Big 12, I don't know if they win a game. They might beat Iowa State. They suck. And I took their
They can beat
I
the
took Iowa
bottom.
State's overall wins. They're terrible.
They could beat the bottom.
Virginia
Three
Tech,
in the
Virginia, Georgia Tech.
Maybe Miami.
Maybe.
We got
And then like the bottom 10. I would
depends.
say 10 through 14 in the Big 10 they can handle.
Yeah,
I
Wisconsin.
don't think they beat Wisconsin.
But Nebraska through Northwestern for sure.
Connor alone.
That's 12 teams. That's 12 teams. That's 12 teams Vanderbilt could beat in the Power 5. That'd be sick. 1 year. We should do 1 year where no one plays a conference.
Vandy's actually just Vandy doesn't play a conference schedule, and they play all the bottom Power 5 teams.
They play the IMG prep schedule.
Yeah,
that would be sick. All right, guys, we've rambled long enough. This was outrageous, but it was fun. I had a good time doing it. I had a great time doing it. But guys, appreciate y'all coming out. As always, if you liked the video, it'd be much appreciated. We'll be back later in the week. Hopefully, maybe actually. I don't want to commit to anything. We're going on my bachelor party this weekend. I don't know. We appreciate this, by the way, Dogs for Life. Enjoying the show. Dog fans don't have enough content like this.
We appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, we do appreciate it. I mean, it's just three guys talking ball. That's all it is.
That's what we love to do.
Just picking up matchups that'll never happen. I mean, what an absolute pointless endeavor.
Someone might.
Yeah, bowl season. I love bowl season for that reason right there. I really do wish people wouldn't opt out. I completely understand why they do. Like, I'm not the one who gets mad about it, but yeah, I would love to see. I wish there was more of a. I'm lost in the word completely. Lost my word. More incentive to win a bowl game. There needs to be some kind of incentive.
I feel like it's cool for the players. I feel like if you go to a half decent bowl, you get cool stuff.
Yeah, you get cool stuff, but if you're sitting out, you're probably making millions. Like, you can just buy that stuff.
Yeah, true.
I know you can't. Zachary Boss says Cole might be out of commission by the time of the next show. Lordy. But yeah, bowl season's awesome. We're just rambling now, but we appreciate you guys coming out. Have a great week and go Dogs.